Secret fantasy worlds are awesome, but when magic hides in plain sight, the rules of fantasy change completely. And if you don't know what you're doing, it can actually derail your world building, your RPG campaigns, and your stories. I'm Janet from World Anvil, a professional world builder, a published author, and a game writer. And in this video, I'm sharing the key questions you need to ask yourself when you're building a secret fantasy world setting. Or a secret sci-fi setting, actually. So your masquerade makes sense, and your players don't ask why nobody's noticed this werewolf crime ring is running around in broad daylight. A secret world is the turducken of fantasy settings. Instead of a totally separate second world, like The Lord of the Rings, or a portal fantasy world connected to ours, like Narnia, a secret world is where magical elements are nestled within a world that is otherwise just like ours. Secret worlds are most often used in urban fantasy, paranormal mysteries, dark academia, and even sometimes in spy thrillers like John Wick. To start building your secret world fantasy, start with your fundamentals. What supernatural elements exist? Vampires, werewolves, magic, psychic powers, write them all down. But remember, every supernatural element creates new complications you'll need to address. How long has this secret world been hidden? A centuries-old masquerade has sophisticated institutions and protocols in place to keep it hidden. But if supernatural stuff is just emerging now, it'll be chaos and confusion. Next up, what's your scope? Are you building in a city, a region, or across the globe? The broader your scope and scale, the more complex your infrastructure needs to be. Hiding a single hellmouth is probably easier than hiding a global population. Pro tip: if you choose a real-world location like New York City, it helps to have a passing familiarity with it. Or do your research. And who knows or doesn't know? Sketch out your knowledge hierarchy, from the inner circle to the completely oblivious civilians. This kind of information is what the World Anvil meta was made for. It'll help you scope out exactly what kind of supernatural beings exist, as well as the things like themes that you want to explore and specific inspirations for your setting. Now you know which supernatural elements you're playing with, it's time to figure out how they work in your world. These details are often different from setting to setting. Sparkly vampires, anyone? And can add a lot of character and nuance. Start with your supernatural physics. How do powers and magic work? What can't they do? These aren't academic questions, they're the foundation of every conflict in your story. And watch out for powers with no costs or limitations. Maybe magic requires components or creates exhaustion. Perhaps vampire powers don't work in certain locations. No one should be omnipotent, and you must create opportunities for your heroes to succeed. Next, let's talk taboos. What are the supernatural community's laws? Maybe you're not allowed to create new vampires willy-nilly, or magic in public is forbidden. What are the penalties for breaking those laws? And how does the money of it all work? Does your secret world have its own economy? Are the vampires the secret minds behind Wall Street? That makes sense. It sucks. And what about other resources, like magic components? There's opportunity for drama here too, because economic pressures drive desperate choices. And those conundrums can make great stories. Oh, and check out our video on trade and money. We made one of those too. Might be helpful. So now you have an idea of what exists in your fantasy world and how it works. So how does it stay secret? How do you hide literal, actual magic in a world full of smartphones? Well, active concealment is a solid option. Someone deliberately hides the supernatural events with memory wipes, illusions, cover-up teams. Think Men in Black and then some. This requires effort and resources. So who's doing it and what happens when they fail? Institutional help often features here. Governments, media, or tech companies actively suppressing supernatural evidence. It's powerful, but it creates coordination challenges and weak points. So how about passive concealment? People's psychology does the work here. They rationalize away vampires as cosplayers, or psychic predictions as lucky guesses. The human brain really can ignore and unsee the strange, but only to a certain point. You can also use natural barriers. Magic only works in specific locations. Supernatural beings can't be recorded, or dimensional barriers separate the worlds. These give you built-in explanations for scarce evidence, but they can feel a little too convenient. You can also combine some of these to create a more consistent concealment. But remember to consider the implications of your choices. If vampires can erase memories, why hasn't one mind-controlled their way to world domination? Next up, how does your secret world govern itself? Who's in charge, officially, and in practice? It's time to outline your secret world's factions. Start with your governing bodies and sub-bodies. Who makes the rules? Is it a vampire council? the supernatural UN. Think about decision-making, enforcement, social support, and what happens when they're challenged. A content tree can be really helpful for this. Now, who enforces those rules? Are there supernatural police and investigators? How do they catch rule breakers? And what punishments and protocols are in place once they do? How far is society willing to go when someone threatens exposure of the secret world? That is an interesting question. Next, create conflict with some rebel factions. Probably not everyone likes the established order. Do they want to rule openly, seed chaos, or drive some darker agenda? And remember to add neutral parties too. Information brokers, supernatural craftspeople, neutral meeting grounds. These keep the supernatural world functioning day to day, and they're fascinating liminal spaces. Once you have your factions, it's time to figure out how these groups interact with the mundane world. Do they have front organizations, government connections? The more integrated your secret world is with our real world, the more realistic and deep it feels. Diplomacy webs are a great way to keep track of how these different groups interact with each other, and keep track of who's secretly helping whom. By the way, you can make these on World Anvil quickly and easily. And after answering those questions, you have a secret world of your own. Solid foundations, multiple concealment layers, organized power structures, and meaningful limitations. Your secret world should feel like it could exist in our world, hidden just out of sight. Structured enough to feel organized, conflicted enough for stories, mysterious enough to stay engaging. Remember, your goal isn't answering every single question in excruciating detail, it's creating a framework for consistent storytelling. When your players, or your audience surrogate characters, ask why the vampire prince doesn't just mind control the president, now you'll have a satisfying response. Let me know your take on secret worlds in the comments. Do you have a favorite type? Have you built your own? And what was your spin on it? And be sure to check out Kitchen Sink World Building, our interview with Peter Czukowski of the Story Engine Deck. It's a super useful topic when creating secret worlds. If this video helped you, then please like and subscribe for more. Then grab your hammer and go world build.